Hello and welcome to Vemma. Let me start off by saying I'm excited for you. For some, you're about to embark on a transforming journey from an employee mentality to the mindset of an entrepreneur. Hi, my name is BK Barreco, and a big part of my job here at Vemma is to help people create a full-time income with part-time effort, to offer hope to those wanting an opportunity for time freedom and financial independence. You see, I grew up with a father that always told me, son, you'll never get wealthy working for somebody else. You know, as a parent, obviously every parent wants the best for their children. But in today's economic climate, going to school and getting a good job may not be the best path for financial security and time freedom. In this audio, you're about to be enlightened with some powerful philosophies and huge possibilities that can change your life forever. Now, I'm not talking about just financially. Obviously, that's a big part, but also positive change in your relationships as well as your health and your bank account. You see, I want your decision to join this Vemma mission to be one of the best decisions you've ever made. I want you to become healthier, happier, and richer. And obviously, I know that's not going to happen overnight, but with some consistent effort over the next few months and years, those changes can become your reality. Over my 15 plus years in this industry as a company owner, I have had the privilege to pay people, some just like you, over $700 million. The bigger the check, the more excited I am to pay it. That might sound a little crazy, but it's because it's a direct reflection of how many people have been positively impacted with this brand. Now, what frustrates me is I see that some people that join Vemma have moderate success. Some people struggle while others enjoy massive success beyond their wildest dreams. That secret to that group of people that has massive success, I've discovered lies within this audio series. Some of you will listen to this with a casual ear. Some will study this and listen to it over and over again and begin to apply these philosophies to your Vemma business and, more importantly, to your life. I'm excited for what you're about to learn. And the more you learn about Vemma, the more convinced you'll become that this is the perfect company for you to tie your dreams to. Growing up, my mom always told us kids, dream big dreams. Small dreams have no magic. You see, that dream, that why is the reason you're embarking on this mission, and it needs to be crystal clear, and you need to keep it in front of you. Your why, it's a personal choice. And, as a parent, it may be that when you look into the eyes of your children, you want them in a private school or you want to send them to a great college. Maybe it's you're looking at your retirement portfolio and you're saying, I got to get really creative really fast to get it properly funded. That why may lie in getting free from a mountain of debt, maybe saving the house, maybe paying off some old school loans, or maybe it's something as simple as to be able just to generate a part-time income to help take some of the pressure off. And whatever that why is, devote some real serious thought and keep it in front of you. I am serious. It's that important. Here's something else that's really important. One of the things I want you to realize as you begin your journey with Vemma is you're now a small business owner. Congratulations. A business that you can run from your computer almost anywhere in the world. Now, small businesses are a big deal. They are the engine that drives this country's economy, and we're a huge part of this economic answer that people are searching for. But the point I want to make to you right now is the tax laws were set up to be able to support and give advantages to the small business owners. I'm talking about you. Now, get with your tax preparer, but I want you to take full advantage of these benefits because it could save you literally thousands of dollars every year. Now, remember, to qualify for the top pay in Vemma's bonus plan, you need to stay on a 2-pack auto delivery. Now, why is that important? Well, that proves to the IRS that you own a home-based business with the intent of making a profit, which enables you to receive some tremendous tax-saving advantages. I once heard from a really wealthy guy that it's not what you earn, it's what you get to keep that's really important. So let's get you to keep as much as possible. What I love about our business model is that it resonates with so many people. Our timing is perfect, and people are looking to make significant change in their life. The topic of health is huge. People love the hassle-free home delivery that has made Amazon.com and Zappos household words. And the best part about our business model is We reward people that fall in love with our product. We utilize word of mouth advertising, the best, most sought after form of advertising, and it cuts through the ad clutter. You see, every day the average person is bombarded with over 3,000 ad messages. And how do you get your story told to somebody? By somebody that knows them, that loves this product. And so I'm excited about your potential with this business model, but don't you get excited about everybody that you know that would be perfect for it. Get excited about everybody that they know, and everybody that they know, and everybody that they know. Now, let's get down to business. And let me tell you a little about my good friend, Darren Hardy. This is a guy that loves to see people succeed. You know, so much, in fact, he became the publisher of Success Magazine, my favorite magazine, in my opinion, the finest publication devoted to the entrepreneurial mindset. And this guy is gifted. You know, by age 18, he was earning a six-figure income. I don't even want to tell you what I was doing at age 18. But by age 24, he became a millionaire. And at age 27, he owned a $50 million company. This is a guy that is someone you really need to pay attention to and heed the advice that he gives simply because he's got such an impeccable track record. Now, get ready to study. And I mean really study from the information he's learned by sitting down and spending quality time with some of the most successful people on the planet and getting their ideas and their insights. You know, people like Steve Jobs, Richard Branson, Joel Osteen, Dr. Oz, and Donald Trump, just to name a few. I mean, this guy has interviewed the top, most successful people, gathered the information, the common denominators on what makes these people successful, and he's put those philosophies in this audio series. And so I'm excited for what you're going to learn. I'm excited for what you're going to accomplish, and I'm excited for what you're going to become. Darren, they're all yours.
Thanks, BK, and I appreciate that you know just how important this information, the mental part of success, is to the long-term success of your brand partners. For those listening, I want to congratulate you. If you're listening to this CD, it means that you've made the first step towards your better future. You've decided to become an entrepreneur and join the Vemma team. What I love about the Vemma business model is it sets you up in your own business, but it doesn't abandon you. They allow you to partner with a team that has a vested interest in your success. When I asked Donald Trump what the number one key to wealth was, he said, own your own business. Now I know there might be a little voice inside your head that says, did I make the right decision? Is this Vemma thing really for me? Sure, this might have worked out for others, but I'm not sure I can do it. You might think, I'm not like that guy or gal. I don't have the skills. I don't know the right people. I don't have the time. Am I really ready to own my own business? Etc., etc. Just know that those thoughts are natural. Everyone feels the very same things when they are first getting started. And during this audio, I will ease every one of those concerns for you and empower you with the skills and the mindset to be massively successful with your Vemma business. Here's a little known secret about the most successful people in the world. First of all, they were all once a newbie just like you, just getting started. And secondly, they all felt nervous, uneasy, if not downright scared and terrified in the beginning. Yes, this includes Sir Richard Branson, Donald J. Trump, Dr. Mehmet Oz, Maria Shriver, Tony Hawk, Anthony Hopkins, and many others I've had the chance to meet and interview. So, you are in good company. So if you feel any of those things, just know that it's okay and part of the process. It soon will subside. But I also want to warn you, when you feel those types of feelings, your mind can start playing tricks on you to quote-unquote protect you. It will start inventing all sorts of things that are wrong with the business or the people or your circumstances, whatever, to give you solid justification for why you don't move forward with the business. So please hear my warning. It will happen. But now you can call out this covert tactic of your mind and keep it from sidelining you and the bigger dreams and goals that you have for your life. Take comfort in knowing this. The Vemma business you've decided to sign up for, thousands of people have already done it successfully, with less going on for them than you have. No excuse your mind can conjure up is valid. Those are just fear-induced protection tactics. Don't buy into them. And again, welcome to your exciting future with Vemma. I can't wait for you to look back 3 to 5 years from now and say, I can remember when I first got started, how I felt and what battles of the mind I had to fight. But boy, I'm glad I did. Now look at my home, my family, this lifestyle, pictures from our last several vacations, how great my kids are doing, and how much I'm able to support my church, friends, and my extended family. I am so glad that I pushed myself through those first several days as I made the transition. And that is what I want to help you do. Make the transition, or the shift, as I like to call it, the shift to the entrepreneur mindset. Let's first talk about the variables involved in being successful in your Vemma business. Before I start anything new, I like to evaluate all the variable success factors. What separates why one person will be successful at something and another one not? What factor or factors determine the difference? In your Vemma business, there are 4. Let's evaluate them together. One is the company and the leadership. Does Vemma have different policies and procedures for Ivy League college graduates that are different than high school dropouts? Are Republicans given special incentives that Democrats aren't? Are Christians held to different terms and conditions than Jews? No? Then the company is the same for everyone, so that isn't a variable. So, number 2, how about the products? Do they ship a different supercharged Vemma formula into rich neighborhoods than they do poor ones? Do they offer Verve exclusively based on your social status, political connections, or family background? If everyone has the same Vemma brand products to work with, then that's not a differentiating variable either. Okay, well, it must be number 3, the compensation plan. This is where there's sure to be an inequity. Is there a faster ascension path for white people versus black people? Are there special bonuses paid only to men that women don't get? How about older people with families? Are they paid more than single people just out of college? No? Isn't that fabulous? This is truly the great equal opportunity employer. The playing field is completely level. Everyone has exactly the same variables to work with. And since Vemma is already successful now operating in over 50 countries, the product already selling, and the compensation plan already paying people an inordinate amount of money, none of those are variables at all. They are all proven. So, what then is the only remaining X factor? There's only one thing that will determine your success or failure in this business. There's only one thing that will determine the level of your success in this business, and that is you. You are the X factor, and that is the point of this audio. I want to help you work on you to make the shift, obtain the entrepreneur mindset, and become the person you need to become in order to achieve the success you seek in owning your own business. A level of success so great, in fact, you might not have even dared possible for yourself before. Before we jump into the tough work of how to work on you, we need to address your core motivation for doing so. We have to address your why. BK talked about it earlier. Here's what I know for sure. Without a strong enough why, you will never do the how of what it takes to make the shift and succeed in your Vemma business. In my book, The Compound Effect, I talk about the fact that the will to do something is not enough. Willpower will fail you. It has before in every diet, new discipline, or New Year's resolution that you have set. What you need is why power. You will need why power to make the entrepreneur shift. Here is why. The power of your why is what gets you to stick through the grueling, mundane, and laborious. All of the hows will be meaningless and seemingly insurmountable until your whys are powerful enough. Until you've set your desire and motivation in place, you'll abandon any new path you seek to better your life. If your why power, your desire, isn't great enough, if the fortitude of your commitment isn't powerful enough, you'll end up like every other person who starts a new diet or signs up for a new business opportunity and gives up too quickly and reverts back to the unfulfilling patterns of their old life. Don't let that be you. Let me give you an analogy to help bring this concept home. Imagine me putting a 10-inch wide, 30-foot long steel plank on the ground and saying, if you walk the length of the plank, I will give you $20. Would you do it? Of course you would. It's an easy 20 bucks. But what if I took that same plank and made a rooftop bridge between two 100-story buildings? If I still offered you the $20 for walking across that plank, would you do it now? Likely you'd say, no way, Buster. However, imagine if your child was on the opposite building and that building was on fire, the flames licking at their neck, and if you didn't walk across the plank to save them, they would perish and die. Would you walk the length of the plank now? Without question and immediately, you'd do it, 20 bucks or not, right? Now, why is it the first time I asked you to cross that sky-high plank, you'd say, no way, yet the second time, you wouldn't hesitate? The risks and the dangers were the same. What changed? You see, your why changed, your reason for wanting to do it. When the reason or the why is big enough, you'd be willing to perform almost any how. To truly ignite your creative potential and inner drive, you have to look beyond the motivation of monetary and material goals. It's not that those motivations are bad. In fact, they can be great. I'm a connoisseur of nice things too. But material stuff can't really recruit your heart, soul, and guts into battle. That passion has to come from a deeper place. So the first thing I want to challenge you to do is to discover your why. Why do you want to be an entrepreneur? Why do you want to earn more money? Is it to send your children to the best universities around the world? Is it to contribute to your church? Is it to buy your parents a home so they don't have to worry about their financial future? Do you want to travel, owe no one anything, have complete and utter financial independence and peace of mind? What are you willing to fight for, work day and night for? What would you risk walking across that 100-story high plank for? What you are looking to unearth in yourself is your passion. In my opinion, and the opinion of many of the most successful business leaders on the planet, this is the single most important discovery you can make in yourself, the discovery of your personal passion. It will be the fuel for your entrepreneurial engine. It will breathe life into your dreams, goals, and ambitions. Let me give you an example of the type of strong feelings I'm talking about. There's an interesting story set back in the early Christian years. First, you have to remember, it's not like it is today. The early years were mean, tough, and ugly. Back then, you just didn't go around saying, I'm a Christian. They would cut off your head and throw you in jail. Unlike today, they didn't fill an entire coliseum for a Sunday rally. In fact, back then it was well known if you were a Christian, you wanted to stay out of the coliseum, especially on Sundays where they had fun feeding Christians to the lions. Well, when things are mean, tough, and ugly, that's when you need a leader. So the story says God went out recruiting. Well, God picks this guy, Saul of Tarsus. Saul was a great pick. He was one incredible guy. His nickname was All Out Saul because whatever Saul was into, you were going to hear about it. If Saul had an opinion, everyone was going to hear about it. Saul liked a new wine, everyone was going to be trying it. That was All Out Saul. There was only one problem with Saul as a potential recruit. He hated Christians. He hated them so much, and since he had credibility in the community, he could get letters of authority to go around killing Christians. Then this one time, Saul heard about this new group growing up in Damascus. Saul went into a fit and a rage. Saul gathered some men, got letters of authority, and went booking it for Damascus. Well, God looks down at this and sees Saul and says, "That's my man." A lightning bolt comes from the heavens, knocking Saul off his horse, burying his head in the sand, blinding him for 3 days. Now, God has some recruiting tools we just don't have available for us, right? I mean, imagine if somebody told you no and you said, "Blinded for 3 days." That would be great. Well, as the story goes, Saul gets converted to Christianity. It is Saul of Tarsus that you might now know as Paul the Apostle, one of the greatest Christian leaders there ever was. There's a famous quote in the Bible from Paul that says, "The things I once hated, I now love. The things I once loved, I now hate." The point being, no matter what he believed, he was passionate about it. Passion. That's what you want to find in yourself and what you are looking for when you recruit others into your business. All right, now that we know that your why power will be the emotional force of your passion that will fuel your engine as you grow your Vemma business, I now want to prepare you for how to avoid what I call the 5 hidden landmines of entrepreneurial and network marketing business startup. So, I'm going to map out these 5 landmines and give you the mindset shift you will need to make in order to navigate around them. Are you ready? Okay, here's number 1, success factors. Everything you've worked hard to accumulate up till now is useless. I hate to be so blunt, but you really need to hear this, since it's the truth. I'm trying to help you avoid a landmine here. To do this, I can't pull any punches. I have to give it to you straight, or you might just roll onto a bomb you didn't even see under your feet. All the education you've accumulated, your resume, all the awards you've collected, the titles you've reached during your ladder climbing ascent, all those are worthless to you being successful as an entrepreneur, particularly in network marketing. In fact, I will go as far as to say that those success factors will be your greatest inhibitors to your being able to be successful in this field. Why? Primarily because you've spent the last 10, 20, 30, or even 40 to 50 years relying on those developed strengths. Your success was based on how well you did something, how well you presented, sold, and performed. Your unique process was your weapon, secret, and advantage. The business you're in now is not about you or about what you can do, it's the opposite model. This is one of the biggest mental shifts I can help you make to be successful in this business. Your previous career or business was based on your efforts, your deliverables. This new business is the opposite model. It's not what you can do, it's what you can model and replicate so hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of people can do. You are used to producing 100% of the results by your efforts. The beauty of this model is you can earn 1% from 100 people's efforts, if not 1% from 1,000, 10,000, or more. Instead of only 100% from your continued efforts, you are no longer the issue. The model of simple, easy duplication is. I know that this will be a tough concept for you to grapple with because before, your success model was built on the unique and dynamic qualities of your skills and your processes. Now the objective is the opposite. The issue is the system of simplicity, not making yourself the issue so that anyone from any background, skill level, and geographic region can successfully do everything you do. To go from you to a few, to hundreds, to tens of thousands, you need a simple, duplicatable system that anyone with little to no skills can use anywhere at any time. The leadership in Vemma has that system. Just don't get in the way of it. Hear this, you will struggle more with what you need to unlearn than what you need to learn to be successful in Vemma. Your decades of academic and corporate-oriented conditioning will compel you to mess up the model of simple and leverage duplication more than what you don't know. Hey, even if you're lucky enough to have found this opportunity early in your professional life, you will still be inclined to do it your way and thus mess it all up. Let me give you some critical tips for helping you step around landmine number 1. Here's number 1. Forget everything you know. Be a student again. Be insatiably teachable. It's like this. Imagine buying a McDonald's franchise. Now they've built and developed a system that is proven to work and proven to make money. Now you come along and say, hey, I really like ham sandwiches, so I'm going to replace the Big Mac with the Big Pig. No, you wouldn't do that. Whatever they're doing has been developed through diligent study, research, and proof. Trust in the system the Vemma leadership has developed. They have a vested interest in your success. Don't mess with it. Just follow it. Here's number 2. Trust and plug into the system. The most important necessity to foster duplication is to have a system that anyone, anywhere, at any time can plug into. This is where you transfer the issue from being about you to being about the system. Look, you don't want to have to do all the work. First of all, it won't work, and you will kill yourself trying. No, you want the system to do all the work. Not only will it then work for you, it will work for anyone. And that's when the magic of duplication can kick in and send your financial potential into the stratosphere. Again, back to the McDonald's reference. They have an exact system that every franchisee follows to the letter. That is the only way they can operate 31,000 franchises employing 1.5 million people in 119 countries on 6 continents. Wouldn't you want a business that big? Then it has to be built completely around a system, and Vemma has that system. It's the only way you will ever have a nationally or even internationally expanded business. Simply use the system that has been built for you. Just don't mess with it. The existing formula works if you will just leave it alone and work it. And this is additionally reinforced in suggestion number 3. Use the tools. Vemma has agonized over and painstakingly developed the very best possible tools for you to use. They have collaborated with the very best experts and invested lots of money to create professionally designed and packaged materials in CDs, DVDs, websites, the Vemma Voice Journal, brochures, etc. to tell their story so you don't have to. And I'll tell you, the website they provide for you for free is one of the best in the industry, and it's yours free. I hope you invest the time to get yours set up. In today's business climate, an impressive web presence is a top priority. So you can look at it this way. The tool is the advertisement. Combined with your story, it's designed to make you look great when it comes time to share this concept. Now, Vemma could have paid TV cable operators, radio stations, or newspapers to distribute that advertising, but instead they're giving you the opportunity to distribute it. The company benefits by getting the advertising distributed by a credible and trusted source, you. Your benefit is if the person you hand it to likes it, instead of the TV, radio, or newspaper people getting paid, you do. And not just once, the first time they buy, every time thereafter. And not just every time to those that you show the tool to, but every viral ripple effect from that point forward. Now, if instead you tried to verbally give the ad or create your own, 2 things would happen. 1, it would probably be bad, certainly not as good as the professionally produced version by Vemma, thus the person probably wouldn't respond well. 2, there would never be a ripple effect as you would not get anyone else to walk around blabbing the ad and story effectively. It is far more comfortable, easier, enjoyable, and effective to let the tools be the advertisement. All you have to do is distribute the ad or tool to people you care about and want to help out. The key point here is be the messenger, not the message. Be the distributor and not the infomercial. Think of it this way. If your mouth is moving, your finger should be pointing at the well-packaged and prepared tool. Keep that in mind. If your mouth is moving, your finger should be pointing at a tool or product. Here's landmine number 2, lack of structure. At first, this sounds like a great thing. You're finally free. There's no commute to the same old place day after day. You're not relegated to some small cubicle or chained to the desk surrounded by the same 4 walls all day. There's no one to acquiesce to, fill out reports for, or have constantly looking over your shoulder. You don't have to call in if you're going to be late coming in, or ask when you could take a vacation, or even make a doctor's appointment. You are free. You can do what you wish, when you wish, how you wish. And for the new entrepreneur, this is terrible. It is terrible because it's a completely foreign territory and very uncomfortable. At the very least, the behaviors, disciplines, self-motivations, and self-accountability systems are not developed. Think about it. For most people, their entire life has been rigorously structured. When they went to school, they were told how many units were required for what degrees. They were given a syllabus with detailed expectations, strict deadlines, and you were tested on your performance. Your results were delivered in black and white on your report card. When you left school and got a job, you were told where to sit, when to be sitting there, for how long, when you could get up and go to lunch, when to be back, and exactly what you were supposed to do while you sat there. You were given a detailed job description and held accountable for regular progress reports, all the while under the constant watchful eye of someone hired to simply watch you or, quote-unquote, manage you. This behavior, training, conditioning, and routine was developed over years. You can see then why when all of that is removed and the new entrepreneur is left standing alone without that rigorous structure, they can freak out, or at the very least, be completely and utterly unproductive. They try to convert their kitchen table into a desk. Their bathrobe becomes their new uniform. Their new office mates are the refrigerator, the TV, the couch, and the ever-needy kids who now have an always accessible servant. And without your bosses sticking your ribs to deliver results, most people end up justifying their quote-unquote working by becoming product experts, making lists, preparing materials, or continuing to just get ready, aim, 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 and never fire. It seems that they worked all day, but they never actually did the basics of introducing the product or opportunity to someone new, through a tool, of course, or follow up on those already in the process. Never mistake activity for productivity, or movement for achievement, or rushing around for results. There are big differences. Anyway, a few weeks or months wallowing away like that, and most people go running back to the corporate bosom. Because even if it's a bad mother, it's still a familiar mother, and one that they've grown up and gotten used to for decades. Does that make sense? So let me help usher you safely around landmine number 2. My first suggestion is to always start part-time. This is so important that I want to invite my mentor, Mr. Jim Rohn, in to help make this key point to you. For those who don't know Jim Rohn, he was considered America's foremost business philosopher and one of the most influential thought leaders in the history of personal improvement. Here's Jim Rohn.
Now, when I first was recruited, I'm a distributor for this little product called Abunda Vita. And here's what my mentor said, Mr. Schoaf. He said, Mr. Rohn, you can start this miracle working business part-time. You don't have to go full-time, you can start part-time. And he said, if you'll devote, to start with, let's say 10, 12, 15 hours a week, where you'll start making a profit, here's what you can now say. I'm working full-time on my job and part-time on my fortune. Because profits lead to fortune. I got so excited about that philosophy. I'm working full-time on my job, but now I'm working part-time on my fortune. I found a way not only to make a living, you won't believe this, I found a way to make a fortune. Can you imagine what that's like then to get up in the morning? To go to work on your fortune, not to go to work to pay the rent, which is okay, but a chance to go to work to make a fortune? And I said, right now I'm working part-time on my fortune and full-time on my job, but it won't be long until I'll be working full-time on my fortune. Can you imagine what life is going to be like? Now, here was my first goal when I started, and that was part-time. I wanted to equal on my profits part-time what I was earning on my full-time job. This is called the magic of part-time. It is so thrilling for people to start working the business part-time, because now you can work on profits, and it doesn't take very long. If you'll really concentrate on those 10, 12, 15 hours a week, it won't be long if you really do it right and learn some of the skills I'm going to talk about. It won't be long until you can be earning as much part-time working on your fortune as you are full-time working on your job. I did that in less than 6 months. Now I've got an incredible invitation. I found a way part-time to work on my fortune, and I'm making as much money at that as I am on my full-time job. Would you like to hear my story? It was incredible. Now, here was my second goal, to make twice as much money part-time working on my fortune as I was working full-time on my job. And I reached that in less than a year. Making twice as much money part-time working on my fortune as I was full-time working on my job. Now I've got an incredible invitation that won't quit. I found a way, through a unique opportunity, to work part-time on my fortune, and I'm now earning twice as much money as I am working full-time on my job. Would you like to hear my story? Do you imagine anybody would say, no, I don't care to hear your story? No. Everybody I said that to said, wow, yes, what are you doing? I said, I'm glad you asked. Let me tell you. Now, when I started making twice as much money part-time as full-time, here's my dilemma. I didn't want to go full-time. And why not go full-time? And the reason was because I didn't want to give up my electrifying story. Right? It was so powerful, nobody could resist the invitation to at least take a look. I didn't want to give it up, and I hung on for I don't know how long until it was, almost insane. Then finally, reluctantly, I gave up my full-time job. But now you can imagine the thrill and excitement of going to work full-time on my fortune. It was incredible. But I want you to jot down the magic of part-time. What does it take to really change a person's lifestyle? Not very much. An extra $1,000 a month, I'm telling you, will drastically change most American families' lifestyle. And that's why part-time is so valuable, because it very quickly changes a person's lifestyle. And here's what the change in lifestyle does. It's a great recruiting tool. One of the greatest recruiting attractions is the money you make part-time. Somebody said, "You've been on 3 vacations this year?" Says, "Yes, I got this little part-time thing going." Says, "What's that?" "You bought 2 new cars, one for you and one for her. How did you do that?" Said, "I got this little part-time thing going." Your kids have got all these new clothes? Yes. All this stuff is happening. What is it? An extra $1,000 a month. See, $1,000 a month full-time, nobody wants to hear your story. $1,000 a month part-time that starts to change your lifestyle, everybody wants to hear your story. So the key is part-time. The magic and the attraction of part-time gives you a classic invitation for somebody to listen to what you're doing that's changing your life. And it's not just necessarily the money that changes your life. It's what you do with the money. It's the change of lifestyle. So part-time helps to change lifestyle, which gives you a classic invitation to look at what you're doing. That's how I started in network marketing, age 25. Wow, these philosophies changed my life.
Now, with that great context, let me give you a couple of other suggestions to help structure yourself for success as you get started. Number 1 was start part-time. Number 2 is call a family meeting. Enroll the entire family into the vision, objectives, and rewards of being successful with the Vemma business. Explain what benefits the family will realize by the additional income and lifestyle freedoms. Explain how this impacts every individual's hopes, wants, and desires. Your first recruits in your new business need to be your immediate family. They don't have to be doing the business with you, but they do have to be supportive in every way possible of you doing the business. You need to all be spiritually on board together to be able to navigate the rest of life's demands as a family to keep your focus on building your new Vemma business. You will need to explain the short-term sacrifices that will be necessary to earn the rewards everyone is after. Explain the extra time you will have to put in, some events you might miss, some evenings you might have to be out late, and some boundaries you need to set inside the home when you are watering their new money tree. I even called one of my companies a while back FFR, standing for Friends and Family Resources. I wanted my friends and family to know that by the very naming of the enterprise that some of the sacrifices I had to make, thus they had to endure, was for their benefit if they supported me. Number 3, now set your boundaries. Create a specific place in your home you will do your Vemma business. Only do it there so it doesn't take over your family home and lifestyle. And so when you are there, you are focused and can ask the rest of your family for undisturbed time. Create set hours. This is particularly important as you build your Vemma business in parallel to your working your full-time job. Take out your calendar and block out key spots throughout the week. Block out the regular local meeting times, conference calls, and trainings. Block out when you will have one-on-one coffee or lunch meetings with prospects or new brand partners. Block out when you are going to make outbound prospecting calls and follow-up calls. Simply figure the time that you will be working your Vemma business. And then I have one very important suggestion. Protect those blocks of time. What you do during them and what you don't do outside of them. Work during those blocks of time like your life depended on it. Your future life does. Be steadfast about protecting that time and maximizing your productivity during your allotted time. Oh, and by the way, Organizing your office, reading, and surfing the web are not business building activities. Building your Vemma business is defined as simply as 1. Contacts with new people about the product or opportunity. 2. Helping those on your team already involved in doing number 1. 3. Promoting the next event to your team, be it a conference call, weekly meeting, regional, or national event. That's it. And as important, when it's not time to be doing the business, shut it down. The only way you'll be able to sustain the effort you will need over a long enough period of time is if you also maintain the rest of your life along the way. If it becomes too burdensome, you will not be able to sustain your effort, and you will end up quitting long before the magic of the compound effect of your consistent effort has kicked in. Now here's number 4. Chart your course. Set your goals. We talked about finding your major motivation and power by discovering your why. Now we have to build a plan to help you achieve that purpose and direct that great passion. Whenever I'm asked what one skill I would attribute any unusual success I've realized in my life to, this is my answer: learning how to set, stick to, and achieve big goals. Goal achieving is an art form. There's a big difference between a New Year's resolution or to-do list type of goal writing and a thorough system of planning, staying accountable to, and the actual achievement process of realizing well-crafted goals. I learned this process early on, and it was the reason why I was able to achieve some comparatively extraordinary things early in life. You heard BK mention it: a 6-figure income by age 18, 7 figures by 24, and a $50 million company by age 27. I tell you that only as a testimony to the results mastering this one skill can produce. This art form has been an ongoing study and refinement process for me for the past 20 years. I've boiled it down to the essential components and built a system behind it that not only helps you articulate and document your grand ambitions, but also how to architect a plan of action to get you there, and build in an accountability and improvement system that guides you all along the way to help you actually achieve those big goals. If you're interested in this system, you can get it for yourself at success.com/best-year-ever. If you get your hands on a copy, I can promise you it will become the most important book you will carry around every day. And not because of what I wrote in it, but for what you will write in it. It will become the book that houses your why power, the collection of your passions, your core motivations for wanting to succeed, persist, and see this journey through. Now, with the yellow brick road directed towards your goals, your weekly management system to keep you moving forward, and the environment and the time carved out to take the actions you need to take, we will have successfully escorted you around landmine number 2, lack of structure. And this plays perfectly into landmine number 3, commitment. As I mentioned in landmine number 2, the greatest benefits of this new venture are also the most sinister and dangerous traps about this venture. It's too easy to get into this Vemma business. There's little sacrifice, or as renowned investor Warren Buffett puts it, there's too little skin in the game. You don't have anything at stake, although I would argue you have your entire future on the line, your financial and emotional freedom, but that never seems to be enough for people. Your wallet has to be at stake to get people's attention. And therein lies the problem. It's way too cheap to get into this business. What's easy to get in is also easy to get out. That is why at times this business has an apparent revolving door. It isn't the business that's the problem, people are the problem. Or more specifically, their lack of commitment is the problem. In most cases, this landmine is the only thing standing in the way of someone becoming successful in network marketing. As we've talked about, the Vemma business model is proven. It's already worked for thousands of others. It requires no prior education, experience, background, training, skills, or otherwise. All it really requires is commitment to see it through long enough for the Vemma business model to work and your efforts to accumulate long enough for the compound effect to ignite, which kickstarts the money machine. But still, few make the commitment to see it through, and that's all it takes. I have a friend named Charles. Charles is a talented, hardworking, and ambitious guy. Over a period of several years, Charles joined and quit 4 different network marketing organizations. Each time he joined, he got excited, declared this was it for him, and he proceeded to tell everyone he knew all about it. Invariably, each time after several months, Charles quit. Later, Charles was presented with an opportunity to buy into a franchise-like business. It required a $500,000 investment in cash and construction guarantees. Charles didn't have $500,000 lying around, so he mortgaged his family's dream home to the hilt. That wasn't enough, so he liquidated his daughter Emma's college fund that he and his wife had been saving up for more than 10 years. That still wasn't enough, so he had the gumption to borrow the money from his mother-in-law, mortgaging the equity in her home that she and her now deceased husband had built up after 40 years of sacrifice. Today, Charles' business is relatively successful. He now has 4 stores, but recently admitted to me that he hates his life. He has dozens of unreliable, part-time high school and college kids for employees. He is constantly dealing with workman's comp, healthcare issues, employee theft, shipping, spoilage debacles, as well as a constant cash flow crisis and ceaseless legal liabilities. He confessed that if he'd only been as committed to any one of those network marketing businesses as he's had to be with his current business, he would not only be $500,000 richer, have his mother-in-law off his back, he would also have the lifestyle freedom he now desperately envies. Don't be a Chuck. Don't make the same mistakes he made. Don't let the small cost to join Vemma equal your commitment to making it work. Instead, have your commitment to making your Vemma business work be equal to the size of the opportunity it offers. I'll tell you, if BK would let me, I could solve this problem in an instant. How? Require you to give $500,000 to get in the Vemma business. Whatever it takes. Drain your savings account, your kid's college fund, mortgage your house, your mother-in-law's house, put your wedding ring up as collateral, whatever. Now, if you did that, what would be your commitment level to making the business work? Probably a lot higher than it is right now. Yet, that is the difference between making this business successful and not. Let me give you a point of reference. Do you know that the rule in franchising is whatever amount of money you want to make annually in the franchise, you need to be prepared to invest 5-to-1. You see, there are all types and prices of franchises. There are some for $50,000, $150,000, $500,000, and some for more than $1 million. If you want to earn $100,000 a year with your franchise, the 5-to-1 rule states you will need to be prepared to spend $500,000 in cash through bank financing, whatever. You're on the hook for $500,000. So let's say you did. Now what? Well, first of all, you're probably seriously committed to making it work. Secondly, you are told you won't make that $100,000 for 3 to 5 years. You simply have an expensive, low-paying job in the meantime. And now your job every day is sandwich maker, pizza flipper, cashier, floor sweeper, and high school and college kid babysitter, as those are your new employees that your business depends on to keep running. The point is not to beat up on franchising, as much as it is to point out how amazingly good you have it for discovering Vemma, and how lucky you are to be listening to this audio in the first place. You have no fixed location, no employees, no overhead, no serious investment, and yet complete time and logistics freedom with an unlimited, infinitely scalable business and income that's reoccurring and eventually passive. Oh, and instead of having an opportunity profile of about 5 to 10 miles around your 6-figure franchise, you now have an opportunity platform in 50 countries around the world. The benefits are incredible, and the only, or let's just say the only major thing standing in your way of enjoying all those benefits is your decision and adherence to making a commitment. Here's the best definition of commitment I ever heard. Commitment is doing the thing you said you were going to do long after the mood you said it in has left you. I warn you, right now you might be fired up to do this business. You watch that video of BK and his message resonates with you and you're pumped. Right now you might be saying you will never, never, never give up until you make it successful. But eventually, this quote-unquote mood will wear off. You will go back to your regular life, routine, mix with your same old family and peer group, and be hit with the same complexities of life's obligations. It will be then that your commitment will be tested. Your mood will be different, but your commitment to staying the course cannot be. Here is the best tip I can give you on this entire CD. Are you ready? Here comes. Be here a year from now. Did you catch that? I'm serious. It's that simple. Just be here a year from now. And in the meantime, just do what we've discussed thus far. Follow the system. Use the tools. Structure your work situation and do the taught fundamentals over and over and over again throughout that first year. I can tell you with great conviction, if you just do that, stay here for a year, perform the fundamentals consistently throughout that year, you will have success. No joke, that's it. If this is the only thing you take away from this audio is to make a commitment, okay, I will do this for a year and I will follow the system and I will do the simple activities all year long, you will have just gotten million-dollar advice and something that can change you and your family's life forever. Please heed it. Now I'd like to bring in Mr. Robert Kiyosaki, yes, the one of Rich Dad, Poor Dad fame, to challenge you a little bit further on this topic. Robert will tell you why you and your personal development are the keys to your greater success as an entrepreneur and how long you really should commit to this process. Here's Robert.
When I came back from Vietnam, again, my poor dad said go back to school. And for some reason, it didn't feel right to me. It wasn't what my gut was telling me to do. So instead, I went to do personal development type of work. And I found personal development is much more fulfilling, much more rewarding, but it means me getting out of my mind. It means me doing my best to become bigger than my situation. See, most people are crushed by the environment, especially in this crisis. They lose their job, they're out of money and all this, and the world crushes them. Personal development means you have to become bigger than your problems. If you're in debt, you have to become bigger than your debt. If you don't become bigger than your debt, you'll never solve the problem. If you're only making, let's say, $50,000 a year, then you have to get bigger than $50,000 a year. And that's what personal development is. In traditional corporations, they always say, well, you should live below your means. Be happy to have a job. Next year we might give you a 2% pay raise, but only if you do as I tell you. That's not about personal development. That's called personal slavery. You become a slave to the corporation. If that's what you want to do, stay there. Have a good life. It's not my life. I needed to become bigger than my problems. When I started my first business back in 1978, I made a lot of money. It was a nylon and Velcro surfer wallet business, and I was soon a millionaire, but I lost all my money, and I found myself nearly $1 million in debt. And what my rich dad said to me is, congratulations, you just failed. And most successful entrepreneurs will fail 3, 4, 5 times. They'll lose that many businesses. But each time you'll get smarter. So your first job is to figure out how to pay back that $1 million, So I never declared bankruptcy. I just had to get smarter and bigger than $1 million. And that was the best training program I ever had. I had to rebuild my business and pay people back. You see, if I got a job, there's no way I could have paid back $1 million, not making $100,000 a year. There's no way. Taxes would have killed me. So again, it was personal development. Now that I got bigger than $1 million, that was great. And now it's on to hundreds of millions of dollars. So personal development is simply you getting bigger than your problems. The only problem is you get bigger problems. And today it becomes this challenge of how big my problems are, because then I can solve them. Most people give in to their problems. They get smaller than their problems. And that's when life stops for them. So one of the primary reasons I recommend network marketing, because it's a personal development program. You don't join and hope to become rich next week. If you join a network marketing company, I strongly recommend you say, I'm going to give it a 5-year commitment. I'm going to give it a full shot for at least 5 years. Because whether it's network marketing or baseball or football or whatever it is, quitters never win. And most people, when the going gets tough or the problems seem insurmountable, they quit. And that's why they'll never be successful in life. So network marketing is very much a support group of people who want the best for you, but you have to give your best also. And so that's why I say consider it a 5-year commitment that you'll do your best for 5 years. I can almost assure you that if you do and you give it your best for 5 years, you'll be a completely different human being at the end of the period.
Let me give you one final warning about landmine number 3 and commitment. Be patient. Give yourself and the process time. Like any great endeavor, it takes time to figure it out, get good at it, and have it produce a harvest for you. Particularly in this business, Because it is a model of leverage, meaning you earn 1% on 100 people's efforts instead of 100% of your own, there's a critical mass that needs to be developed. This business is the ultimate example of the compound effect, which by now, if you haven't figured it out, was the title of my last book. In the book, I model the compounding penny, a penny that doubles every day for 31 days. The penny on day 2 is 2 pennies, day 3, 4 pennies, all the way to day 10. It's only $5.12. Well, imagine that you're 10 months down the road and BK sends you a check for $5.12. It looks like it's not working. It would appear that way, but what you don't know is you've incited the compound effect. If you stick with your commitment, you will see that by day 20, or in your case, let's say month 20, it's $5,242. Still, no fortune. But if you stick with it through patience, consistency, and commitment, on day 31, or even month 31, that compounding penny is $10,727,418. Now it looks like it was all worth it. What's important to understand is that the math between day 1 and day 2 and the math between day 30 and day 31 all along the way was exactly the same, but you couldn't really see the magic of the exponential growth until it reached critical mass. That is exactly what you will experience building your Vemma business, and you will have to be willing to keep on keeping on, maybe simply in faith, knowing that even though the results aren't visible, the compound effect is working, and if you commit consistently long enough, the rewards will be astronomical. That is why I ask you to simply commit to being here a year from now and do the simple basics all along the way, because it will appear like it's not working. But if you stick with it, eventually the exponent of the compound effect kicks in, and before you know it, your rewards are a multiplier more than you could have ever imagined. Now that sets us up for our next landmine perfectly, because as you are journeying forward that first year and your results aren't necessarily visible yet, you are a bit vulnerable, and this landmine can really catch you off balance. Landmine number 4, self-image. Because the majority of the world has been conditioned, as you have been, by academia, corporate culture, media, and society norms, being an entrepreneur, and particularly a network marketer, can be met with great antagonism. This is where good intention, sort of, friends and family try to talk you out of your new ambitions. First off, it's important to warn you about some of the emotions of rejection you might feel and how it might be different than anything you've ever experienced before. I don't want you to be caught off guard by this landmine, so let me explain. Rejection from friends and family can hurt a lot more than the sort of rejection you might have experienced at the job. You can have a customer, prospect, even a boss or colleague reject you at the office, and you can go home and no one really needs to know about that embarrassing little failing. But when friends and family reject your new business venture, it feels more personal and exposing. When someone doesn't want to buy your widget when you're at the office, you can chalk it up to, it's just not for them, so what? But when your friends and family say no to joining the Vemma business with you, it can feel like they're saying no to you personally. You will soon realize that they're not really saying no to you. They are not rejecting you personally. They're actually saying no to themselves. They are rejecting their own inner voice that prods them to the fact that they should be doing more, stepping out, and taking risks just like you. Here's a key thing you need to know about making the shift into entrepreneurism. By doing so, you are stepping out of the herd. You are walking away from social norms and the great horde. 90% of the population are employees. That's all they've known. That's what they've been trained to do, and that's what's normal. Only 10% of the population owns their own business, according to the Kauffman Foundation study on entrepreneurial activity. When you walk out of the herd of the 90%, they're gonna bark at you. They're gonna shout warnings of fear, danger, and hardship. Why, you ask? I think a few reasons. A, they simply aren't as courageous as you. They cannot get over the idea of leaving the security of the corporate bosom, their weekly employee paycheck, their meager benefits. What you are doing just doesn't fit their model of the world. And so they're going to be communicating their foreboding warnings from that vantage point. Love them anyway, but don't let them drag you back into the pack of mediocrity. There's a story I heard about a type of crab that cannot be caught. It's agile and clever enough to get out of any crab trap. Yet, these crabs are caught by the thousands every day thanks to a particular human trait they possess. The trap is a wire cage with a hole at the top. Bait is placed into the cage and the cage is lowered into the water. One crab comes along, enters the cage, and begins munching on the bait. A second crab joins him. A third. Crab Thanksgiving, yum! Eventually, however, all the bait is gone. The crabs could easily climb up the side of the cage and through the hole, but they do not. They stay in the cage. Other crabs come along and join them, long after the bait is gone, and more. Should one of the crabs realize there's no further reason to stay in the trap and attempts to leave, the other crabs will gang up on him and stop him. They will repeatedly pull him off the side of the cage. If he persists, the others will tear off his claws to keep him from climbing. If he persists still, they will kill him. The crabs, by force of the majority, stay together in the cage. The cage is hauled up, and it's dinner time on the pier. The chief difference between these crabs and humans is, these crabs live in water and humans on land. Anyone who has a dream, one that might get them out of what they perceive to be a trap, had best beware of the fellow inhabitants of that trap. The human crabs do not usually use physical force, although they're certainly not above it. They generally don't need it, however. They have more effective methods at hand and in mouth, such as innuendo, doubt, ridicule, mockery, sarcasm, scorn, sneering, belittlement, humiliation, jeering, taunting, teasing, lying, and dozens of other tactics the crabs around you use to pull off your claws or kill your dreams. Be leery of the crabs around you, content with staying in the trap. Here's B. You make them look bad. You are a giant exposing mirror to them, and your actions are being reflected back to them. They know they should be doing what you're doing, but they are afraid. By you doing it, it makes them look bad for not doing it themselves. Instead of borrowing from your strength and joining you, it's easier for them to make fun of you, trying to convince you why what you're doing is dumb, stupid, bad, or foolish, in the hopes that you will give up and come back to the pack so they no longer have to look at you and feel bad about themselves. It's important to realize their comments are saying more about them and their fears being kicked up by your leaving the herd than it is about you and what you're doing. Love them anyway, but don't let them drag you back into the pack of mediocrity. A colleague in a prior venture told me about an article he read in Newsweek. This reality changed my view of how important other people's opinions should be to me. This article revealed that at a funeral, an average of only about 10 people will care enough to cry. I thought, what? You mean I can work hard all my life trying to please others, and in the end, only 10 people will care enough to cry that I am dead? It gets worse. The article also revealed that the number one thing that will determine the number of people who will go to the burial site with the funeral procession is the weather. It was found that if it's raining, more than 50% will not go to the burial site. It's not how you live your life that will be the number one determinant. The circumstances of the weather will outrank your entire life's existence. When I heard that, my entire perspective on living for other people's favor or approval changed forever. Right then and there, I no longer cared what other people thought of me and whether they approved of me or what I was doing. Their rejection no longer had any power, particularly if they wouldn't even be one of the 10 who would cry at my funeral. Since then, before making a prospect call or after one where I was rejected, I would ask myself, would this person cry at my funeral? And most of the time the answer was, I doubt they would even walk across the street to even go. Why do I care what they think? That is a very liberating way to think of it, and the truth. We spend so much of our lives worrying about being rejected by other people, and most of these people will probably not even come to your funeral. If they do, they probably won't cry, And if they do, and it's raining, they probably will drop out of the funeral procession altogether. I pass this important perspective forward to you so that you don't let people who don't matter, matter. And then there's always the advice our friend John Addison, co-CEO of the multi-billion-dollar company Primerica, gives us. Never accept advice from people more screwed up than you are. That's a good mantra to live by as well. Steve Jobs said something beautiful in his commencement speech to the 2005 graduating class of Stanford University, which was just a year after he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and given 3 to 6 months to live, which he beat, of course. Let me repeat it for you here. He said, quote, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of other people's opinion drown out your own inner voice, heart, and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become." With this new perspective in mind, I want to bring our friend Jim Rohn back in to discuss two of the most important philosophies to embrace as you build your network marketing business: the law of averages and the law of sowing and reaping. This is some of the best advice you will ever get on building this business. Here's Jim Rohn.
Here's one of the big philosophies I learned in network marketing. It's called the law of averages. If you do something often enough, a ratio will appear. Key phrase, if you do something often enough, a ratio will appear. It's amazing. It's uncanny. In baseball, we call it batting average. If you talk to 10 people, one says yes. Now the ratio has begun. 1 out of 10. Talk to 10, get 1. Here's something interesting about the law of averages. Once it starts, it tends to continue. This is colossal information. Once a ratio starts, it tends to continue. If you talk to 10 and get 1, sure enough, chances are excellent if you talk to 10 more, you'll get another one. Talk to 10 more, you'll get another one. Now you can compete. If you can only get 1 out of 10, you can compete, even with somebody that can get 9 out of 10. If you've been here a long time, you can get 9 out of 10. I just joined, I can only get 1 out of 10. If we have a 30-day contest, I will beat you. Say, well, how could you beat me? Here's why. During that 30 days, you talk to 10 and get 9. I talk to 100 and get 10. I beat you. Isn't that clever? This is clever stuff. And I do it for 2 reasons. I sincerely wish to win. But I do it for another very sincere reason. I wish for you to lose. And that's noble on my part. Here's why it's noble. You learn more by losing than you do by winning. So I wish to give you that experience. Now here's how I do it once I understand the law of averages. When I'm new, I make up in numbers what I lack in skill. I make up in numbers what I lack in skill. Now who can do that? Anybody that's ambitious. Anybody with a little ingenuity. Anybody. Doesn't matter. Now here's one more. The law of averages can be increased. You get 1 out of 10, talk to 10, get another one. Talk to 10, get another one. The 4th time you talk to 10, you get 2. Why would the 4th time you talk to 10, you get 2 instead of 1? You're getting better. You're getting better. And who can get better? Anybody. Talk to 10, get 2. Talk to 10, get 2. Finally, talk to 10, get 3. I finally got up to about 3. Now, it takes more than a genius to go past like 3 or 4. But 3 will do. If you bat 300 in baseball, they pay you $4 million a year, which means you're out 7 times out of 10. 7 times out of 10, out. Make $4 million a year. Are you ready for that? So, this works so well now in your business. Just jot the phrase down. You don't have to bat 1,000. You don't have to bat 1,000 to make big money. 1 out of 10 is fine. 2 out of 10 is terrific. 3 out of 10 is fabulous. Some particular incredible genius might get 4 out of 10, but 3 out of 10 is sufficient to make you rich beyond your wildest imagination. This is how I went after my friends, neighbors, and relatives when I first started recruiting. I said, look, I've got a new business, and I'm getting about 3 out of 10 to join. And I don't mind you, just come to the meeting and be one of the 7. Doesn't matter. You're my friend, you'll do me a favor. And so it's not important to me that you like it. It's not important to me that you join. It's certainly not important to me that you buy. It's just important to me that you listen. One of the reasons, though, I want you to hear the story is because a year from now, if I'm doing well, I don't want you to say, how come you never picked up the phone a year ago? I never got a letter, never got a call. You call me a friend? You're making all this money? You never picked up the phone. So I don't want that to happen. So for 2 reasons, I want you to see what I'm doing. So that a year from now, if I'm doing well, I can say, you know, I gave you the opportunity. But also, just as a favor, come and be one of the 7. It doesn't matter to me if you buy or join. But I need 10 to get 3. And if you're one of the 3, wonderful. If you're not, wonderful. It might matter to you. It might matter to you, but it doesn't matter to me. Now, it matters to me because we're friends, but it doesn't matter in terms of my averages. So if you decide to get rich, just learn the law of averages. You're off and running. Now, here's the second law that changed my life forever in network marketing. I learned the law of sowing and reaping. And in the law of sowing and reaping is also the story of the law of averages. Jot this down. The story of the sower comes from the Bible. I'm an amateur on the Bible, but this is such a useful story. Here's what the story says. And take the notes because the drama's in the details. The sower was ambitious. Evidently, he was ambitious. When you read the whole story, you'll conclude, yes, this was an ambitious sower. Here was number 2. He had excellent seed. The sower who sowed the seed had excellent seed. And the excellent seed can be an excellent opportunity, an excellent product, an excellent story. So we've got an ambitious sower with excellent seed. But now here's the rest of the details of the story. For your information, for the drama of your life, so you can understand things better. Learning some of this is how I got rich by age 31. Okay. Number 1, it says the sower goes out to sow the seed, but the first part of the seed falls by the wayside and the birds get it. So jot this down. The birds are going to get some of the seed. The birds are going to get some of the seed. Now you say, well, Mr. Owen, what does that mean? Well, I invite John to come to a meeting. He said he'd be there Tuesday night. Tuesday night I show up, John isn't there. I say, John, I wonder why John didn't make it. Now I know the answer. The birds. The birds. John had this great idea of coming to the meeting to look at an opportunity, and somebody stole it and said, you're not going to go see network marketing. And he says, well, maybe not. So have you jotted that down now? The birds are going to get some. Now, when the birds get some, you've got 2 options. Number 1 is to chase birds. And say, well, let me get a hold of the person that talked him out of coming to the meeting. I'll tear him a new page. But I wouldn't do this. Here's what happens if you go chasing birds. You leave the field. If you go chasing birds now, you leave the field, which is going to distract from your future, not add. So you can't chase birds and try to straighten this stuff out. Here's what it is. It's just one of those things. And here's the best comment when things are a little disappointing. Isn't that interesting? You just have to say, I thought sure he would be there. He promised me. He promised me. But I know it was the birds. And you just have to say, isn't that interesting? Now, here's the rest of the story. It says, the sower kept on sowing. See, that was the secret to his success. He kept on sowing. And if you keep sowing, you can sow more than the birds can get because there aren't enough birds. If you keep sowing, there are some birds, but there's not enough because the law of averages will work for you. My mentor taught me, he said, you know, Mr. Owen, there's only 9 or 10 real nasty, miserable people in the whole world. Now, he says they move around a lot, you know, and you're liable to You'll bump into one once in a while. But when you bump into one, you say, there's only 9 more like you. I can handle that in the whole world. Okay. Now, here's what else it says. The sower now keeps sowing the seed. Now the seed falls, the story says, on rocky ground where the soil is shallow. And the rocky ground where the soil is shallow is not of your making, because you had excellent seed and you were an ambitious sower. So the rocky ground where the soil is shallow is not of your making. But here's what it says what happened. This time, the little seed that falls in the ground starts to grow, and the little plant starts to grow. But the first hot day, it withers and dies. It dies. Not an easy thing to watch. I finally get John started. Sure enough, 3 or 4 days later, somebody says, boo, and he goes, he's gone. Doesn't show up at the second meeting. And I say, I thought, sure, John would last a week. What happened? Jot this down. The hot weather is going to get some. And this is not of your making. Here's what you must say when that happens. Isn't that interesting? Wow. What can you do? The answer is nothing. You say, well, I'm going to try to change this. I wouldn't take that class. You know, the sun comes up in the east. Somebody says, why is that? I wouldn't spend much time on that. Just let that happen. Don't go for this why stuff. I'm giving you the answers here. The answers is in the structure and the consequences and in the deal. The answer is in the deal. Anything beyond that is not worth study. You say, well, how come some just last a little while? I wouldn't sign up for that class. Here's the answer. Some don't stay. You just have to jot that down. And when some leaves, you say, that's one of those that don't stay. Now you know what category to put them in. And you can't solve this now. It's like rearranging the seasons. You can't fool with that. All you can do is cooperate with the way things are set up. I didn't set it up. You say, well, it shouldn't be this way. Well, when you get your own planet, you can rearrange this whole deal. But on this planet, you're a guest. You got to take it as it comes. Now, here was the secret to the ambitious sower with good seed. It said he kept on sowing. Now, here's what he had to do to keep on sowing. He had to discipline his disappointment. This is a key phrase now to use the rest of your life. You must learn to discipline your disappointment, because you didn't set up the setup, and some are not going to stay, and that is not of your making. Now, if you made gross errors and you ran them off, see, that'd be different. Now, you're responsible for that. But if it's in the normal course of things, this is the way things are. Now, here's what it says. The sower keeps on sowing. Now it says the seed falls on thorny ground. And somebody says, well, how much of this do you have to go through? Well, hang on. It's not the end of the story now. Now the little seed falls on thorny ground. And now the little plant starts to grow again. But as the little plant starts to grow, the thorns choke it to death. And it dies. So jot this down. The thorns are going to get some. And that's not of your making. And what are these thorns? The story even called these little thorns, little cares, little distractions, little somethings. Who knows what all they are? I say, John, we had a meeting last night. You weren't here. John says, well, I can't make every meeting. I say, why not? You're part-time. He said, well, the screen door came off the hinges. And you just can't let your house fall apart. You got to take some time and fix things up. And I can hear the thorns going, He says some extra trash had piled up in the garage. You can't let mountains of trash take over. You got to keep your trash hauled out. People who let little things cheat them out of big opportunities. People who let little things cheat them out of big opportunities. And you feel almost helpless. What could I do about that? And that's nothing. And you say, well, why is this? I'm asking you not to sign up for that class. Don't sign up for these why is this class. It's just the way it is. Like winter following fall and spring following winter. So if you got that, the thorns are going to get some. But now here's the good news. Let's read the rest of the story now quickly. The sower now what? Keeps on sowing the seed, keeps on sharing the story, keeps on giving an invitation. Yes, the invitation can be more powerful for me as it was 1 year later than it was the first month. Because now I'm saying I'm making twice as much money part-time as I'm making on my full-time job. Yes, the story can be more powerful, but the law of average is still going to work. But now here's what the story said. Finally, the seed falls on good ground. Finally, the seed falls on good ground. Now put this in parentheses. It always will, if you keep sowing. If you share a good idea long enough, it will fall on good people. But now here's the rest of that story. Some of the good ground did 30%. And some of the good ground did 60%. And some of the good ground did 100%. You say, well, why the difference in numbers? I wouldn't sign up for that class. Come on. Have I said that often enough now? Don't register for that class. It's just the way it is. Now, I tried to get the 30s to do 60. Found out it was more than I could handle. I used to say, I'll make them successful if it kills me. I almost died. No, you can't do that. Here's what you do. Let the 30s do 30 to the best of their ability and keep doing 30, because that's how they build their lifestyle and get what they want out of life. And let the 60s do 60, and let the 100s do 100s. Now, how can you get some to do 100%? You got to go through all these experiences, and you got to talk to all these people.
So, to summarize both laws, some will, some won't. So what? Next. Now let me arc off here for a second and discuss the history and validity of the direct selling or the network marketing business as an industry. I think it's important that you know the truth about the industry as a whole, so those with hearsay and false accusations don't sway you. As publisher of Success Magazine, which is designed to serve the entrepreneur, we are in the business of studying the entire landscape of entrepreneurial options. We come at this view unbiased and with a broad perspective. We are champions of every credible entrepreneurial opportunity. We only speak out in support of those that we have full knowledge about and trust for. The direct selling or network marketing industry is a 100-plus-year-old and $29.6 billion industry in the U.S. with about 15 million people involved and 114 billion globally with 65 million people involved by 2009 reported statistics. To put that into perspective, the entire music industry is only 10 billion U.S. and 40 billion globally. The entire movie industry is 9.5 U.S. and 27 billion globally. So we're not talking about some rogue, unproven industry. The man who is called the world's smartest investor, the Oracle from Omaha, Warren Buffett, is an owner of a direct selling company, as well as Remington, Unilever, L'Oreal, Mars, and others. In fact, in an age of mass commercial marketing, competition, and clutter, word of mouth or referral marketing is being considered the most effective and powerful form of marketing. To give you some tangible data on that, in 1992, the average consumer received 3,000 commercial messages per day, and important decision makers receive even more. Marketing these days costs 3 times the money for half the result versus just 20 years ago. Meanwhile, as consumers, we are getting better at skipping the commercials. We have TiVos and DVRs, satellite radio, and we've turned a blind eye to the flashing online banner ad. We've lost trust with advertising, and we do our best to avert it at every turn. What we do trust, however, are recommendations of our friends, family, and neighbors. The global research and consultant company McKinsey reports that already 67% of consumer decisions are driven by word of mouth. And according to NOP World, 90% of customers identify word of mouth as the best, most reliable, and trustworthy source for product information. This is compared to 14% trust for advertisers and even less trust with celebrities, 8%. This is why there is a massive shift to word of mouth, referral marketing, or network marketing. This business model takes the world's most effective form of advertising, word of mouth, and devotes a huge part of a company's advertising budget to reward those people that talk up their product. It is what works more reliably, efficiently, and with more credibility. So again, instead of paying the distribution channels of advertising, TV, radio, newspapers, and magazines, they pay you. That's why you get paid the big bucks. So your shift into entrepreneurialism into this industry is not some unusual or foreign concept. If anything, it's a leap forward into the way much of business will be done and much of product distribution will get into the marketplace going forward. And that leads us gracefully into our last potential landmine, and that is landmine number 5. The product you are really sharing is you. This is a big and important distinction to understand. You see, when you are at a job, you are performing a task. It might be computer programmer, marketing director, systems manager, network engineer, whatever. When you get into network marketing, specifically Vemma, there is a giant misnomer that what you are sharing is the products of the company or the business opportunity or financial freedom or health or hope or any number of things. But what you are really sharing is you. This is a frightening reality for most people. You see, in the product representation business, and most particularly the recruiting business, you are in the attraction business. When you are telling people about this great Verve product or the great opportunity, they are looking more than they are listening. They are asking themselves, do I want what this person has? Do I want to be like this person? Do I want to show up like this person is showing up to me? Do I want to come off to my friends and family like this person is coming off to me? In that moment, you are the billboard, brochure, and brand ambassador of Vemma. How does the company look if you look in the mirror? The answer to that question is what you constantly want to be improving on. You see, it's not what you say that gives your words power and influence. It's who you are behind your words that give your words power. This is an important distinction because people are constantly perplexed on what to say. They think it is the script that matters. What you say has very little to do with your ability to influence and attract. Let me give you a perfect example. The greatest recruiter in the world had one of the worst scripts imaginable. I mean, if you were a script writer, you would find this horrifying. Here's what he said: "You, follow me." That's it. That was his complete recruiting script. But it was effective. Why? It wasn't what he said, it was all that he was. His name was Jesus of Nazareth, and the reputation of who he was more important than the words he used. This is true for you too. Think about it. There are people in my life that if they called me and said, "You follow me," I would. No questions asked. I believe in who they are to that degree. There are other people in my life, however, no matter what they said, they could give me the most professionally polished, entertaining, emotionally charged, psychologically calculated, and visually stimulating presentation imaginable, but there's no way I'm following. I'm sure you know people like that too. This is why your personal development and who you develop yourself into is so crucial to the success of building your Vemma business. One of the days that changed my life was a day back in November of 1994. That was the day I met the man who would become my mentor, Mr. Jim Rohn. I wasn't even there to meet or hear Jim. I was there to meet with the promoters of the event. I needed to wait until the event was over to meet with them, so I sat in the back and listened to this willowy, gray-haired man with the most fascinating voice and intonations lecture about the principles of success. What he said riveted me. Jim Rohn asked the audience, "How many people want more?" I thought, yes, I want more. Success, money, a better body, more companionship, etc. And I awaited the instructions of what to do. By that point in my life, I had experienced some moderate success already, but I had done it through sheer brute force. I was aggressive and I just outworked, outfailed, and outpersisted everyone else to grab my achievements. I did it by doing. Do. But what Jim said next would multiply my income, my goal achievement, and my results. And it wasn't by doing. Jim continued, "If you want to have more, you have to become more." He said success is not a doing process, it's a becoming process. What you do, what you pursue, will elude you. It could be like chasing butterflies. Success is something you attract by the person you become. Wow, I thought. This was the first time I had heard this twist of perspective, insight, and wisdom. Jim continued, for things to improve, you have to improve. For things to get better, you have to get better. For things to change, you have to change. When you change, everything changes for you. Wow. Those were the keys to the kingdom for me and what launched me on my constant, unrelenting, and never-ending journey of continuous personal development. And he was right. The next year, I tripled my income to over 7 figures a year, and within a few years was a self-made multimillionaire. And I wasn't doing any more than I had done before I met Jim. My doing wasn't any different, but who I was doing it was. And that made all the difference in the world. I invite you on such a journey, the journey of continuous personal development. If you want anything more in life, this is the yellow brick road to getting there. And I love the fact that BK and Vemma made this a major priority in their business. In fact, once you attain a certain rank, you can enroll in the Vemma Leadership Academy, a 12-week curriculum dedicated to developing leaders in Vemma and in life. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, yeah, but right now I'm not feeling very attractive and I don't have success in this business to show. I'm just getting started. What you can do is tell other people's stories. There are 3 stories you want to get good at telling in this business. 1, the Vemma story, how it got started, why, what mission it was founded on, BK and his credibility. Then there's your story, your personal experience with Vemma, what opportunity you saw in Vemma for your family, and the results that you have created. If you don't have the results story yet, you'll want to rely on the 3rd and most important story, other people's stories and their successes as they've experienced with Vemma and the opportunity. And the great news with all of this is you don't actually have to tell those stories yourself, as they are captured on the tools and systems we talked about earlier. You just have to point to them. Make sense? All you do is tee up the stories that will connect best with others. Then my second and most important suggestion is go about the business of personally developing yourself. This is where your real work is. As Jim Rohn said, you want to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. In this case, you'll want to work harder on yourself than your business. In fact, your business is you. The more you grow, the more your Vemma business will grow. Now, as Jim said, if you want to have more, you have to become more. So who do you have to become to have the success you seek in Vemma? This is one of the most important questions you will ever answer to obtain the success in this business and in every area of your life. This perspective will change your ability to obtain anything you seek from this point forward. Let me give you an example of this important distinction. This distinction of figuring out who you need to become as compared to what you need to do. More than a decade ago, when I was single and ready to find my wife and be married, I made a long list of the qualities of the perfect woman for me. I filled up more than 40 pages describing my wife in great detail. Her personality, character, key attributes, attitudes and philosophies about life, tastes, interests, even what kind of family she'd come from, culture, and of course, physical makeup down to the texture of her hair, etc. I wrote in depth what our life would be like and what we'd do together. So I now knew what I wanted to have. If I then asked, what do I have to do to find and get this girl? I might still be on that butterfly chase. Again, as Jim Rohn taught us, success is not something you pursue. What you pursue eludes you. Success is something you attract by the person you become. So if you want to have more, you must become more. So what I did was look back at every aspect on the list and ask 2 key questions, questions you'll want to remember. The first one was this. Looking back at all the attributes, characteristics, and qualities I wanted in her, I asked, did I possess all those attributes myself? Whoa, there was an interesting perspective. And then the second question, what kind of man would a woman like the one described in the previous 40 pages be looking for herself? In other words, who do I need to become to be attractive to a woman of this substance? So then I made a long list of all the traits, qualities, behaviors, attitudes, and characteristics that I assumed a woman of this caliber would be looking for in a man. I filled up 40 more pages describing who I needed to become. Then I went about the work of becoming those qualities. And guess what? It worked. As if she were peeled off the pages of my journal and appeared in front of me, my wife is exactly what I described and asked for, an almost eerie detail. The key was my getting clear on who I'd have to be to attract and keep a woman of her quality, and doing the work to achieve that. Now, let's translate this to who you need to become to have what you want in your Vemma business. What type of person do you want to recruit or attract into your business? What qualities and attributes do you want? If you could write a list of the ideal type of people and based on your list, hundreds would beat a path to your door, what would you design those characteristics to be? Maybe you would say passionate, enthusiastic, disciplined, a positive attitude, punctual, hardworking, loyal, dedicated, persistent, fantastic communicator, great presenter, excellent people skills, well-liked, honest, and authentic. Oh, and we have to add committed. Maybe also a strong presence, confident, empathetic, has a great heart, loves to help people, persistent, reliable, and relentlessly consistent. Those would be the qualities you would want in those that you recruited into your Vemma business, right? Now, ask yourself, are you those qualities yourself? Do you possess, demonstrate, and exercise those qualities with religious devotion? Remember, birds of a feather flock together. The only way to attract people of those qualities is to be that type of person yourself. Be or become the person you want to attract. That is the importance of your continuing personal development. Don't miss this key tip. Here's what I want to encourage you to do. Make a list of the top 10 qualities you want in the people you would like to attract into your business. This will start to inform you on what personal development improvements you want to focus on for yourself. If you are unsure of what those qualities should be, do this exercise with me. Think about the most successful people in the world and use a single word to describe them. This could be people like Richard Branson, Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, a mentor of yours, a leader you look up to, your own mother or father, whomever. Now write down the words that describe them. When I do this exercise in a live group, I will hear words like passionate and confident and charismatic, creative, persistent, committed, strong-willed, smart, honest, and caring. Now, there are only really 3 areas of training and personal development one can focus on. I call this the training triangle. The 3 sides to the training triangle are skills and tactics, product knowledge, and attitude. When considering those 3 areas, where do you think people think they need to learn and study the most? Where do most leaders spend the most time training their people on? Unfortunately, most of the time is spent on product knowledge and specific skills and tactics, scripts, what to say when, how to do this or that, features and specifics on the product or compensation plan, etc. However, you just described the most successful people in the world and the attributes and characteristics of why they are the most successful people in the world. Let's go back through the list and determine whether those responsible descriptions describe a skill and tactic, product knowledge, or an attitude. Ready? Okay. What is passionate? That is most certainly an attitude. How about confident? An attitude. How about charismatic? Yes, still an attitude. Creative? Certainly originates in an attitude, but let's also notate it as a skill. How about persistent? An attitude. One I definitely wish more people had. How about committed? Another all too rare attitude. Strong-willed? Definitely an attitude. How about smart? There we have product knowledge. How about honest? Please don't say it's a skill, although some politicians would suggest otherwise. Honesty is a philosophy or an attitude. And caring? Yes, an attitude. So let's add it up. We have 1 for skills and tactics, 1 for product knowledge, and 9 for attitude. Now, you can see why attitude is so crucial to one's success. You've probably heard the adage, attitude is everything, right? Well, it's not everything, but in this case, which is consistent with every time this exercise is performed in a room of 25 or 25,000, attitude is 80 to 90% of the reason why the most successful people in the world are so successful. Attitude is the key. So when it comes to where you want to focus your personal development and what will be responsible for your successfully making the shift into entrepreneurialism, the key is the nurturing, continual cultivation, and never-ending fortification of your positive attitude. I hope you get this key point. Over what to say, what to do, what to learn, what you do or don't know, none of that is as important as your focus on continually developing and improving your positive attitude. It is what has separated the superachievers we all idolize from everyone else. Above all other attributes, it is their attitude that has set them apart, and will you too. So I can hear you asking, how do I do this? How do I continually bolster my positive attitude? How do I work on my personal development? Let me give you a simple plan. Your personal development can be as simple as this: reading 10 pages of a good book a day. Maybe just 5 pages when you first get up and 5 pages just before you go to bed. Oh, and it could also be 10 pages of a success-oriented or titled magazine, hint, hint. This is going to be far more positively affecting than reading what's wrong, tragic, or dangerous in the world by reading the newspaper when you first get up or watching the 10 o'clock news just before you go to bed. And second, listen to 30 minutes of an instructional audio a day. And you can do this as you drive. I can tell you, my car doesn't move without 2 things: gasoline and an ever-present library of instructional CDs that I listen to as I drive around. On average, we drive about 12,000 miles a year. That's 300 hours of feeding time. Brian Tracy taught me early in life to turn my car into a mobile classroom. He explained that if you listen to instructional CDs as you drive, each year is the equivalent of 2 semesters of an advanced degree in college. Think about it. In the time that you spend driving, you could obtain a PhD in leadership, sales success, wealth building, relationship excellence, whatever course or audio program you sign up for. Certainly, I recommend the CD that comes free inside every issue of Success Magazine. Could I be the ambassador of success and not passionately recommend that you read and listen to it? Of course not. Additionally, we offer success book summaries which culls the best ideas from 3 of the top books in the area of accelerated personal development. Each edition is also delivered in audio format so you can listen to it in your car. Here's another thing that makes Vemma really special. They have a program called Success Club. If that sounds like a club you'd like to be part of, and I recommend it, visit vemma.com/success club. You'll be making a tax-deductible $10 investment per month into your personal development. And here's what you get: the latest issue of Success Magazine along with the CD inside. The Executive Book Summary CD, which features the 3 hottest business books summarized and read on a CD. Imagine what your business IQ would be just after 1 year on this program. 36 books a year do make a difference. And it doesn't stop there. You also get another CD of fresh interviews featuring some of the brightest business minds on the planet. And lastly, BK includes a CD interview of Vemma's biggest and brightest leaders sharing their insights and ideas, all geared towards moving you and your business forward. Oh, and by the way, that $10 includes free shipping in the US. My advice is give up the latte just a couple times a month and invest it in yourself. Invest that money in your future. Let me further explain why this regular exposure of positive, inspirational, and instructional content is crucial to you making the shift into the entrepreneur mindset. It's important that you understand how our minds work. Simply understood, our minds operate like a computer does. Computers are complex systems, but how they work is rather simple. What you input is what it outputs. It doesn't judge or discriminate, it simply acts on the input. That is also how your mind works. It doesn't judge or discriminate the information you feed it, it simply acts on the input. I'm sure you've heard the axiom, garbage in, garbage out. This is true for computer programming, and it's true for the information you allow to program your mind. You get in life what you create. That's easy enough to understand. We are all creative and productive beings, and our life is a result of what we've created. So what then informs your creative process? You create what you expect. I'm sure you've heard the adage, expectation manifests into creation. What you expect to happen is what your creative capacity goes to work on producing. So then, what is driving your expectation? You expect what you think about. That is why all the legendary books of personal development have been focused on this thinking part. Books like Think and Grow Rich, The Power of Positive Thinking, The Magic of Thinking Big, As a Man Thinketh, etc. All these books explain how your thoughts end up controlling the outcomes in your life. What you think about comes about. So I'm always after the deeper question. If it is our thoughts that are driving our expectation, which directs our creative capacity to produce our results in life, what then is controlling what we're thinking about? That would seemingly be the all-important question then, right? And the answer is simple. Whatever input we are feeding our ears and our eyes, the input we are fed. This input is what is putting this entire creative process in motion. You see, your mind's like an empty glass. It will hold anything you put into it. You put in sensational news, salacious headlines, talk show rants, and you're pouring dirty water into your glass. If you've got dark, dismal, worrisome water in your glass, everything you create will be filtered through that muddy mess, because that's what you'll be thinking about. Garbage in, garbage out. All that drive time radio yak about murders and conspiracies, deaths, the bad economy, political battles, drives your thinking process, which drives your expectations, which drives your creative output. And that is bad news. But just like a dirty glass, if you flush it with clean, clear water under the faucet long enough, eventually you'll end up with a glass of pure, clean, clear water. What is that clear water? Positive, inspirational, and supportive input and ideas. Stories of aspiration, people who, despite great challenges, are overcoming obstacles and achieving great things. Strategies of success, prosperity, health, love, and joy. Ideas to create more abundance, to grow, expand, and become more. Examples and stories of what's good, right, and possible in the world. That's why we work so hard at Success Magazine. We want to provide you with those examples, those stories, and the key takeaways you can use to improve your view of the world, yourself, and the results you can create. That's also why I read several pages of something inspirational and instructional in the morning and evening and have personal development CDs playing in my car constantly. I'm flushing my glass and feeding my mind. Does this give me an edge over the guy who gets up first thing and reads the newspaper, listens to news radio on his commute to and from work, and watches the evening news before going to bed? You bet it does, and it can for you too. Now, get this. Just after the 1-year commitment you have made to yourself to be here still building your Vemma business, this simple commitment to 10 pages of reading and 30 minutes of listening, which includes taking the weekends off, we don't want to wear you out here, you will have read 13 books and listened to 130 hours of success and achievement material. That is why you want to join the Success Club. You'll get the books and the audio materials you need to be a more confident leader, a more persuasive communicator, being more efficient and a more productive achiever, strategies on living healthier with more energy and vitality, ways to foster deeper intimacy and passion in your marriage or personal relationships, etc. Imagine the impact this instruction can have on who you are and how you show up in the world, particularly the friends and family around you and those that come in contact with you daily. This will make you attractive beyond belief and will make you a magnet to other like-minded achievers around you. Let me quickly show you how this small but continual practice of improving just a little bit can result in massive transformations over time. I also learned this from Brian Tracy, and this principle is outlined in his book called Focal Point, and it is how you can improve 1,000% in any area of your life, not 10% or even 100%, 1,000. Pick an area, any area, your income, your health, your relationships, your parenting skills, your presentation skills, whatever. Let me outline this strategy in math for you. All you have to do is improve yourself, your learning, your performance, and your output and results by 1/10% each workday. Hey, you even get to slack off on the weekends. That's 1/1000th. Do you think that you could do that? Of course. It's 10 pages of a good book, 30 minutes of an audio each day. Simple. Do it each day of the week, and you'll improve by 0.5% each week. Translation? Not much. Equaling 2% each month, which compounded adds up to 26% per year. Your income or improvement results now doubles each 2.9 years. By year 10, you could be performing and earning 1,000% more than you are right now. Isn't that amazing? Here's the key point. You don't have to put in 1,000% more effort or work 1,000% more hours. Just 0.1% improvement each day. That's it. Now, if you want the owner's manual on how to harness the power of this concept, read and study The Compound Effect. It's all in there in great detail. I want to leave you with 2 final suggestions to completing your shift into entrepreneurialism. Number 1, do it now. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Fear keeps people from taking action and moving forward. Their mind invents 1,000 excuses why they're not ready. I'll start on Monday. I need to organize my list. I need to get my business cards first. I have to get a new briefcase, file folders, or paste the pictures on my vision board first. Don't get caught up in this paralysis. Too many people fall prey to the ready, aim syndrome and ultimately never fire. Admittedly, the hardest step to take on that 1,000-mile journey is that first one. Destroy the fear by taking it quickly, without even thinking about it. Just lunge your body forward, and without conscious thought, your right foot will fly out in front of you to catch your fall. Then without hesitation, lunge your body forward again, and your left foot will spring forth to catch you. But don't stop now, you're starting to move. Lunge your body forward again, and wow, here comes that right foot again. It's a miracle. Even if you trip and fall, at least you will have moved forward. You did the hardest part of that 1,000-mile journey. You started. Remember back in high school physics class, Newton's law of inertia? A body at rest tends to stay at rest, unless acted upon by an external, unbalanced force. Well, make that external force be your own mental shove in the back that forces your body forward. I promise your feet will catch your fall. Now, Newton's second law kicks in. A body in motion tends to stay in motion. And yeah, you've done what 90% of the people fail to do. Get started. One of my predecessors at Success Magazine, Napoleon Hill, once asked an audience, what is the average number of times that a person tries to achieve a new goal before they give up? After several guesses from the audience, he gave the answer, less than 1. Most people give up before they even try. Even though they want to improve their lives, increase their income, accomplish more, most people respond with, I can't, in their head, and give up before even starting. So, before the law of diminishing intent overtakes you, strike while the iron is hot. The time to begin is when the emotion is high and the intentions are strong. Now is the time. Jim Rohn writes, without a sense of urgency, desire loses its value. Now is the time to act. No, I'm serious. Right now. Not next week, tomorrow, or even later today. When this audio is done, I want you to take some action. Take a shot of Vemma or drink a verb and share this concept with 3 people right now. Make a simple phone call to a friend and let them know, hey, this may or may not be for you, but I just gotta tell you. The most important thing is you getting into action. It's not whether they say yes or say sign me up. Each time you share it, you'll get better. So get into the action and start sharing it with 3 people today. I can hear you saying, but I'm not ready. I don't know what I'm doing yet. That's great. In fact, many times it's the best time to jump into massive action. Why, you ask? Because you can honestly and openly say, a friend of mine showed me Vemma. I have tried it and think it's amazing. You should try it too. What's in it? How does it work, they ask? Heck, I don't really know. All I know is that it worked for me. Try it for yourself. Or, a friend of mine is really excited about this new business idea. I think I'm going to try it too. I can't even really explain it, but it's all on this CD, DVD, website, or in this magazine, whatever. Right now, ignorance truly is a blissful asset. Use it while you can. Here's why this is important. It breaks the inertia and gets you over the hurdle that trips up 90% of people's best intentions. I know from experience that what will lock in your commitment and get you over any initial fear stage is when you experience some success, when you have some other people doing the business with you, when your initial team starts to form, and if that doesn't happen soon, you might not allow yourself to stick around long enough to have it happen later. The path of least resistance, your conditioned habit patterns, the little fearful voices in your head, or the loud, fear-inducing voices of those around you will wipe you out. Get moving fast. It's your best vaccination to your old mentality. I love the principle. The heavy chains of worry are always forged in idle hours. Take action fast so you can see some success fast. So let me give you a counterintuitive way of getting some success fast. Go out and get a lot of failure fast. Thomas Watson, the former president of IBM, said, "The key to success is massive failure. If you want more success, double your rate of failure," he said. This is one of the earliest success philosophies I was taught. It has earned me millions of dollars over the years. Make your goal not the number of people you're going to get to buy or join. Make your goal the number of people you're going to get to say no. Make the no's your goal. Why? Well, Watson just told you, it's the key to success. So by making no your goal, you not only make it okay for people to tell you no, when they do, you're happy about it, not sad. You are one step closer to accomplishing your goal. This 180-degree change of mindset will have miraculous consequences in how you move forward, understand, and accept rejection and failure. In the end, it simply comes down to a numbers game. I want you to remember this as you journey forward in the building of your new business. Some will, some won't. So what? Next. Just move on to the next person. So here's what I want to challenge you to do as your first goal. And it's a big goal, so I want you to be ready. You can cut it in half or fourth if you only want half or quarter of the success, but if you really want to break the inertia, not walk off the starting line, but leap off it, this is the goal I challenge you to take on. Go get 10 people to tell you no in the next 7 days. It can be no thank you, or no way, or you've got to be out of your freaking mind, or simply, no. But maybes don't really count. To hit your goal, you need to get 10 definitive, dead certain no's. Do as Jim Rohn said. Invite them to be one of your 7 out of 10 who say no so you can keep the law of averages moving along. So to do this, my guess is you will probably have to introduce about 30 people, as 20 will still be waffling as you chase them around in the follow-up process. These need to be quality introductions too, which means getting the product or tool in their hands. A CD, DVD, a Vemma voice, a live meeting, conference call, or other tools the company has professionally produced for you. Then simply ask, do you want to buy it, or do you want to be in business with me? I'm going to be very successful at this with or without you. Do you want to come with me or not? Either way, it's no sweat off my back. That's it. Go get 10 people to respond with no. Do that process and it's likely someone will say yes, I want that, or heck yes, I'm with you. But that's not the goal, just an interesting bonus. The goal is get 10 no's. Fair enough? Okay, now do it. This might be the most important challenge you ever take on. Not that it's that big or even that hard, but there is incredible magic in taking significant enough action to get yourself moving forward, long enough to progress through enough defeats to gain enough victories to have you live to play another day. That starting process could be the difference of you making it, thus making the shift, which a year, 2, or 5 from now could be the reason why you are living such an abundant lifestyle with complete financial and time freedom, leisure traveling around the world, and making a significant contribution to the people and organizations you care about. How this adventure ends for you has a lot to do with how it starts. Get started now. And here's the last ingredient I suggest you need to make the shift to entrepreneurship. It is one of the ingredients I observe in all the great achievers I get a chance to meet, and it's this: resolve. I love the quote from Benjamin Disraeli: "Nothing can resist a human will that will stake even its existence on its stated purpose." This simply means I'll do it or die. Wow, nothing can get in your way with that kind of conviction of commitment. I want you to see your Vemma business as your mountain in life with a "this is it" mindset. Here's what's going to happen. When you turn off this CD and start talking to people about your Vemma business, or talk to them about this mountain you're going to climb, your well-meaning friends and family are going to say, "What? Are you crazy? You don't know how to climb mountains. That's too dangerous. You should just stick to your job. You're lucky to have a job. You shouldn't climb mountains. Get off that mountain." And you're going to have to look them in the eye and say, "I'm going to the top." And you're going to start climbing this mountain, and others are going to come up to you and say, "You know, I heard that mountain is no good. I heard about others who tried to climb it and fell off and got badly hurt. You shouldn't climb that mountain. You will probably fall and get hurt too. Just be safe and get off the mountain." And you're going to have to look them in the eye and say, "I'm going to the top." You will continue climbing your mountain, and yet others will come up and say, "Hey, you know, if you really want to climb mountains, you shouldn't climb that mountain. It's too rocky, too slippery, too hard, and will take too long. You should come over here and climb this mountain. It's easier, faster, better, and will make you a special deal if you climb this mountain." And you're going to have to look them in the eye and say, "This is my mountain, and I'm going to the top. You are either going to see me waving from the top or laying dead on the side. I'm not coming back." That is the kind of resolve I wish for you. That, armed with your why power, your unrelenting commitment to the process for at least a year, and your jump start to grab 10 no's in the next 7 days, and you are virtually assured glorious success. Over the next 7 days, let me encourage you to listen to this CD over and over and over again. Use this CD through your first 7-day dash to keep your mind elevated and your spirit invigorated. Play it over and over again to continue to prod you forward. And be sure to visit success.com for more supportive resources on your new journey forward as an entrepreneur. I am really excited for you. This is the beginning of the rest of your life. Your decision and now action to make the shift will forever positively impact the future of your family. Life will never be the same starting today. The abundant possibilities are now available to you. You can now exercise the person you were meant to be and live the life you were meant to live. I leave you with the famous words of Henry David Thoreau: "Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you've imagined."
Success Magazine would like to thank Jim Rohn International and Robert Kiyosaki for the use of the recordings. Your First 7 Days, Making the Shift. Copyright 2011 by Success Media, all rights reserved.
And now, as a special bonus, and to continue your personal development exploration, we wanted to provide you with the success book summary of my best-selling book, The Compound Effect: Multiplying Your Success One Simple Step at a Time. If you like what you hear, and I hope that you do, then get the complete book and audio program at thecompoundeffect.com. Now, here's the success book summary of The Compound Effect by, well, yours truly. It's time someone told it to you straight. You've been bamboozled for too long. Look, there's no magic bullet, secret formula, or quick fix. You don't make $200,000 a year, spending 2 hours a day on the internet, lose 30 pounds in a week, rub 20 years off your face with a cream, fix your love life with a pill, or find lasting success with any other scheme that is too good to be true. Hey, it would be great if you could buy your success, fame, self-esteem, good relationships, and health and well-being in a nicely clamshelled plastic package at the local Walmart, but that's not how it works. My personal experience has proven that no matter what you learn or what strategy or tactic you employ, Success comes as a result of the operating system called the compound effect. The compound effect is the principle of reaping huge rewards from a series of small, smart choices. What's most interesting about this process to me is that even though the results are massive, the steps in the moment don't feel significant at all. Whether you're using this strategy to improve your health, relationships, finances, or anything else for that matter, the changes are so subtle, they're almost imperceptible. That's why most people get tripped up by the simplicity of the compound effect. For instance, they quit after the 8th day of running because they're still overweight, or they stop making contributions to their IRA after a few years because they could use the cash, and it doesn't seem to be adding up to much anyway. What they don't realize is that these small, seemingly insignificant steps, completed consistently over time, will create a radical difference. The essence of the compound effect is this: small, smart choices plus consistency plus time equal radical difference. Choices. Our choices can be our best friend or our worst enemy. They can deliver us to our goals or send us orbiting in a galaxy far, far away. Think about it. Everything in your life exists because you first made a choice about something. Choices are at the root of every one of your results. Each choice starts a behavior that over time becomes a habit. In essence, you make your choices and then your choices make you. Every decision, no matter how slight, alters the trajectory of your life. Whether or not you go to college, who you marry, to have that last drink before you drive, to indulge in gossip or stay silent, to make one more prospecting call or call it a day, to say I love you or not. Every choice has an impact on the compound effect of your life. Your biggest challenge isn't that you've intentionally been making bad choices. Heck, that would be easy to fix. Your biggest challenge is that you've been sleepwalking through your choices. Half the time, you're not even aware that you're making them. Our choices are often shaped by our culture and upbringing. They can be so entwined in our routine behaviors and habits that they seem beyond our control. For most of us, it's the frequent, small, and seemingly inconsequential choices that are of grave concern. I'm talking about the decisions you think don't make any difference at all. It's the little things that invariably and predictably derail your success. Whether they're boneheaded maneuvers, no biggie behaviors, or are disguised as positive choices, those are especially insidious. These seemingly insignificant decisions can completely throw you off course because you're not mindful of them. You get overwhelmed, space out, and become unaware of the little actions that take you way off course. The compound effect works all right. It always works. But in this case, it's working against you because you're sleepwalking. And as long as you're making choices unconsciously, you can't consciously choose to change that ineffective behavior and turn it into productive habits. It's time to wake up and make empowering choices. Owning 100%. We are all self-made men and women, but only the successful take credit for it. I was 18 when I was introduced to the idea of personal responsibility, and the concept completely transformed my life. I also quickly understood how this concept could transform every area of my life. If I always took 100% responsibility for everything I experienced, completely owning all of my choices and all the ways I responded to whatever happened to me, I held the power. Everything was up to me. I was responsible for everything I did, didn't do, or how I responded to what was done to me. Now, I know you think you take responsibility for your life. I have yet to ask anybody who doesn't say, "Of course I take responsibility for my life." But when you look at how most people operate in the world, there's a lot of finger pointing, victimhood, blaming, and expecting someone else or the government to solve their problems. If you've ever blamed traffic for being late or decided you were in a bad mood because of something your kid, spouse, or coworker did, you're not taking 100% responsibility. You arrived late because the printer was busy? Maybe you shouldn't have waited until the last minute. Coworker messed up your presentation? Shouldn't you have double-checked it before delivering it? Not getting along with your unreasonable teen? There are countless fantastic books and classes to help you learn how to deal. You alone are responsible for what you do, what you don't do, or how you respond to what's done to you. This empowering mindset revolutionized my life. Luck, circumstances, or the right situation wasn't what mattered. If it was to be, it was up to me. Through choosing to be officially liberated from the past, present, and future victimhood, I hit the jackpot. I had the unlimited power to control my destiny. Success or failure is a habit. Aristotle wrote, "We are what we repeatedly do." Webster defines habit this way: an acquired mode of behavior that has become nearly or completely involuntary. If you've been living on autopilot and allowing your habits to run you, I want you to understand why. I want you to let yourself off the hook. After all, you're in good company. Psychological studies reveal that 95% of everything we feel, think, do, and achieve is a result of a learned habit. We're born with instincts, of course, but no habits at all. We develop them over time. Beginning in childhood, we learn a series of conditioned responses that led us to react automatically, as in without thinking, to most situations. In Chapter 3, I outline specific strategies on how to uproot permanently the poor habits that continually take you off course, and then give you exact guidelines on how to identify first and then install success habits that you'll need to take you in the direction of your goals, dreams, and ambitions. But I will outline for you here the beginning key, and that is awareness. I'm about to walk you through one of the single greatest strategies I've ever used in my personal development. This strategy helps me take control of the choices that I make throughout the day, causing everything else to fall in place, and then leading to the behaviors and actions that shepherd my habits into line like dutiful, loyal minions. That process? Keeping track. Your scorecard. I learned the power of tracking the hard way after I acted like a colossal idiot about my finances. Back in my early 20s, when I was making a lot of money selling real estate, I met with my accountant. He said, "You owe well over $100,000 in taxes." "What?" I said. "I don't have that kind of cash just lying around." "Why not?" he asked. "You collected several times that. Certainly you set aside the taxes that would be due on that money." "Evidently, I didn't," I said. "Well, where did the money go?" he asked. "I don't know," I said, a sobering confession for sure. The money had passed through my hands like water. I hadn't even noticed. Then my accountant did me a great favor. He said, "Son," looking me dead in the eyes, "you've got to get a grip. I've seen this 100 times before. You're spending money like a drunken fool, and you don't even know how to account for it. That's stupid. Stop it. You are now seriously in the hole. You'll have to earn more money that you owe additional taxes on as you earn it just to pay for your back taxes. Continue doing this, and you'll dig your financial grave with your own wallet." I immediately got the message. Here's what my accountant had me do. Carry a small notepad in my back pocket and write down every single cent that I spent for 30 days. Whether it was $1,000 for a new suit or 50 cents for air to fill up my tires, it all had to go down on the notepad. Wow, this brought instantaneous awareness to the many unconscious choices I was making that resulted in money pouring out of my pockets. Because I had to log everything, I even resisted buying some things just so I didn't have to take out the notepad and write it in that dang book. Keeping a money log for 30 days straight cemented a new awareness in me and created a completely new set of choices and disciplines around my spending. And since awareness and positive behaviors compound, I found myself being more proactive with money in general, putting away more for retirement, finding areas to save where there was clear waste, and enjoying the fun quotient of money, play money, all the more. When I did consider shelling out for entertainment, I did so only after a long pause. Since your outcomes are the result of your moment-to-moment choices, you have incredible power to change your life by changing those choices. Step by step, day by day, your choices will shape your actions until they become habits, where practice makes them permanent. Routines and rhythms. A routine is something that you do every day without fail, so that eventually, like brushing your teeth or putting on your seatbelt, you do it without conscious thought. Of all the high achievers and business owners that I've worked with, I've seen that, along with good habits, each has developed routines for accomplishing necessary daily disciplines. It's the only way any of us can predictably regulate our behavior. There simply isn't any way around it. A daily routine built on good habits and disciplines separates the most successful amongst us from everyone else. A routine is exceptionally powerful. Once your daily disciplines have become a routine, you want the succession of those steps to create a rhythm. I want to share with you something I created for myself that helps me keep track of the rhythm of a new behavior. I call it my rhythm register, and I think you'll find it extremely helpful. If you want to exercise more, make more prospecting calls, acknowledge your spouse more affectionately, whatever behavior you've decided you need to move towards your goal, you'll want to track it to make sure that you're establishing a rhythm. You can download the system and a number of other extremely useful tools for free at thecompoundeffect.com/free. Here's what I have found. As a society, we don't seem to lack the ambition to start. We start new diet programs, join gyms, and begin all sorts of New Year's resolutions. What most people lack is the follow-through, not just starting, but staying, not just beginning, but continuing, long enough to have the compound effect kick in and catapult them to extraordinary results, making visible the accumulated effect of the many seemingly inconsequential choices, behaviors, and habits performed over time. The key to all of this is consistency. If there is one discipline that gives me a competitive advantage, it is my ability to be consistent. Nothing kills the compound effect quicker and with more certainty than lack of consistency. Even good, passionate, and ambitious people with good intentions can fall short when it comes to being consistent and predictably find themselves at ground zero over and over again and wonder why. Winning the race is all about pace. Be the tortoise, the person who, given enough time, will beat virtually any hare in any competition as a result of positive habits and behaviors applied consistently. I challenge you to adopt these philosophies in your own life, in your daily habits, disciplines, and routines. Giving a little more time, energy, or thought to your efforts won't just improve your results, it will multiply them. Action steps. Here's how to get more out of this success book summary by putting what you've learned into action. Here are a few questions and thoughts to help you get started. 1. Identify 3 choices, maybe even unconscious ones, that might be moving you away from your goals. 2. Where in life are you not taking 100% responsibility? Write down 3 things that you can start doing right now to take responsibility for the outcomes of your life. 3. Pick an area of your life that you are frustrated with. For at least 3 weeks, journal all the good things that you can about this area. 4. Start tracking at least one behavior you'd like to change or improve. 5. Plan for success. Schedule a regular time for the behaviors you want to incorporate in your life. Example, exercise, date night, listening to personal development audios, and then make doing them a part of your daily and weekly routine. 6. List 3 areas of your life which you are not consistent enough. And 7. Go to thecompoundeffect.com/free to download the Rhythm Register. This will help you permanently cement the success disciplines you need in order to achieve your greatest ambitions.
Summarized by permission of the publisher, Success Books, 200 Swisher Road, Lake Dallas, Texas, 75065. The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, copyright 2010 by Success Media. All rights reserved.